So thank you for coming today. This is really exciting. This is kind of a journey, like Casey and I, we've been friends, so we've kind of journeyed together in this fasting and also just through health journeys and things, and we've both been different, but yeah, it's been good. We've been able to just really journey together in community in this, and so we both have a passion. We both love cooking and good food and new things, and so it's just been really cool to work through this together. And as we've been talking about this upcoming fast and some different things through the summer, we did something with Revelation Wellness, a sugar fast, and just conversation. Things come up, right? When you say no to the flesh, other things come up, and it's just really been cool how we saw it. Well, it was hard, but cool how we started talking about this, and just even in our own lives, how we've experienced this. We were seeing more fear coming up, right? And so that's why we're here today, is because we're like, if we are experiencing some fear here and some like barriers, even just like we were just talking about things, we're like, man, the enemy is just putting walls up here, and this is not something as new to us. Just imagine the barriers he's putting up and the fear that he wants to cloud over others who the Lord is inviting into this fast. So that's really why we're here. It's not to make it about the food. It's to bring light to those things and to show that it's really not that hard. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple, but fasting is never easy or convenient, but it doesn't have to be drudgery. We can delight in the discipline of fasting. So that's why we are here today. So I'm gonna let Casey go ahead and start.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo again that fasting is ultimately not about food. And I think a lot of times in our culture, it's hard to actually separate that. And we're so consumed with food and just the impact that has on our lives. And I think if we can, the time of fasting the Lord gave me this week, like fasting is not necessarily like you fail it or you succeed at it. It's an opportunity to really meet with the Lord in that and to let Him show up for you in a way that maybe you never have experienced before. And so I guess I just wanted to like reiterate that it's not like, okay, you messed up one day and it's like, oh, I've totally failed this thing. Like the Lord, it's not His heart that it's like we're failing in our fast. He's just like, I'm inviting you to like a new day. It's a new day. It's a new meal. It's a new opportunity to try again. And just, it's so much more about our hearts. Like we have, he also gave me this image too of, not necessarily an image, but let's see here. Like He wants to meet, it's about just, He wants our hearts, and it's about us like meeting with us and cleaning out the clutter in our hearts and in our bodies too. That'll be like the result of it, but it's not first about the food and about us like, being cleaner or eating healthier. At first, it's about cleaning out our hearts, and then as a result, He'll go to that next step then too, because He wants our bodies to be healthy and to be well so that we are equipped to be all that He's designed us to be and to fill all those roles He's designed us to fill in our lives. And sometimes, that means making some really hard changes. And I think too, as a result of fasting, it may make some lifestyle changes for us and maybe wake us up to some of those things. So a couple things that I'm going to share too, the recipes. I have made some pretty significant lifestyle changes in the last year or so in regards to my health and healing thyroid issues and some other just autoimmune gut healing things. So this is totally doable. It just takes a little bit of maybe adjusting your perspective and adjusting another thing too, I think, is we get stuck on like just eating the foods we always are just used to eating. And I think I just want to encourage you too, like your taste buds really can change for real. And it's just continuing to try new things. And even if you think you would not like it, like just being open to trying it. And I think too, like our taste buds physical taste buds can change, and also our spiritual taste buds can change. Like the more we practice this fasting, the more we crave and desire that intimacy with the Lord that comes through fasting. So that's just a little bit I wanted to share about my experience with fasting. And So I'm gonna need to use your measuring spoons because I forgot my measuring spoons. So Missy came fully prepared. And can I use your garlic too? I got my stuff ready like earlier this week, and then I needed to use it again, so I forgot to put it back in there. So the first one that I have, and they're over there. They're both of the chicken recipes. One of them is like a chipotle chicken, so it's a little bit spicier, and the other one is like a lemon garlic chicken. So that one would be it's not spicy. They both have garlic in it. That would be probably a little more garlicky feel, but it's not spicy really at all. So the first one I'll just show you what goes in and would be the lemon chicken. And these are also in the, whatever you got there, the pamphlet that has all the recipes in it. These two are in there. Really, is your recipes in there too? The ones that you're making? So everything that's over here would be in the pamphlets too. So, all right, so the first thing, olive oil, or you can use avocado oil. So I usually have avocado and olive oil on hand often for most any recipes and marinades. This is another also I use for chicken, and I would also you can use it for vegetables. Like if you're gonna roast vegetables, it's a really good marinade for that too. For the chicken, I usually mix it up and let it sit on the chicken for at least 8 hours, I would say. If you don't have that long, you don't have to, but it's really gonna soak up the flavor. And then for the vegetables, you don't have to mix it up ahead of time, but I usually do and let it do for, you can let it do that whole time you're doing the chicken too, or even just an hour or two, and that'll really soak it up too and gives it really good flavor. For the vegetables, I just put it on like a cookie sheet and roast it in the oven, 400 degrees for 30, 40 minutes, something like that. And that really gives a lot of, you're gonna think too here, another thing I wanted to mention too is just keeping it simple. I like good, flavorful food. And so sometimes that seemed like, oh, I'm gonna have to give up a lot of flavor and goodness to food, because I really do enjoy food. But I think you just have to think a little differently, and you can add a lot of seasonings and flavor to stuff and keep it simple, and it's easy, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And these, the marinades take like a few minutes to mix up, and then you can set it aside and it's ready for evening time. I've grilled both of those. You probably could just bake in the oven too, but I like grilled the best. So anyways, olive oil or avocado oil is what I use. The recipe calls for fresh lemons. You wouldn't necessarily have to use a fresh lemon. You can use lemon juice, but I always like fresh tastes better to me. And then it takes garlic, cloves. If you do not have garlic cloves, you can use garlic powder, and it would be probably just as good. The garlic, fresh garlic, I feel like just adds a little bit more flavor, especially if you're gonna do even the vegetables too. That just adds a lot of good flavor there too. And then it takes oregano and thyme, and then we got salt and pepper. So this is all that goes in the lemon garlic one. So this one's pretty simple, and you probably would have most all of those ingredients at home. Just dump them in a bowl, and I just use a whisk it all together, and then set it in a bowl or a baking dish or something, and cover it. Make sure all the sides are set in there good, and stick in the fridge and let it soak in there for, like I said, for several hours. Now the other one has a lot more seasonings in it, and I just like it because, I like both, but like I said, I like spice, and I like lots of flavor. So this one has olive oil or avocado oil as well, and it has cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder. And then these are a little bit more, that would be a little more like you probably wouldn't have and you wouldn't have to use these, but they really add the spice to it. Chipotle chili powder and smoked paprika. Those are really yummy in it. And then it takes lime juice, same thing. You can use fresh lime or just bottled lime juice. And then I would do the same for that too, mixing it up, let it marinate for 8 hours or so. And my favorite way to eat these is, well, maybe not favorite, but like leftover. Like I just do a lot and then have it leftover for the week to put in salads, to put like, salads are mostly what I would eat it with. Or you can even just like stir fry some vegetables and have that as extra just to add in some chicken with it. Because a lot of what you're going to be doing, like if you choose to do a more sugar fast option is, and really Daniel fast too, is just good whole foods. I mean, just think of good whole foods, your vegetables. And for the sugar fast, and we would mention for both fasts really, like just prayerfully asking, seeking the Lord what he wants it to look like for you. Your specific health needs and your specific body, and where you're at in your life and what exactly he wants for your fast to look like. And then just follow his leading, and it doesn't have to be, like we laid out some options in there of like what you can do, as far as sugar fast, it would be, you're gonna abstain from like sugar, obviously. But there's some alternatives that you can use in place of sugar, or if the Lord leads you just to completely cut out any sugar or sugar substitutes completely for this time. I've done that at certain times in my life too, and that's a really good thing too, because if anything like sweet is just something that you turn to instead of the Lord, or it's a really like stumbling block for you, that might be a season of time that he just wants you to seek him in that, and instead of turning to those things. But there's also been seasons in my life too that I'm in right now of there's not a lot of variety of food that I can eat right now, and so I've incorporated some of this in. And and we wrote in the pamphlet too some different alternatives of like you'll be using some different like coconut flour or almond flour. This is Swerve, which is like erythritol. It's a sugar substitute, which does not raise your blood sugar, and it will keep you more stabilized. And overall, too much sugar is not healthy for your body. And this is a more, would just be keep leveling your blood sugars and keeping your body more stabilized. That and stevia are the other two. And in the other, there's a pumpkin spice muffin over there, and there's also, they're called like chocolate coconut fat bombs. They have both of these with these sugar substitutes in them. So that would be options for that. And then grass-fed butter. I mean, if you choose to use butter or coconut oil, grass-fed butter, these kind of things, like I said, we've listed the alternatives. Yeah.
Could you tell us where you buy some of this?
That's what I was going to say. Like, we have that in the pamphlet. There's listed of like where you can find some of these things at. The butter you can find at Aldi, you can find Meijer, you can find Kroger. Grass-fed butter is just going to have like not the like added hormones, and it's just going to be just a more cleaner option. If you choose not to do that, that's your choice. I'm just saying this is more of a clean, healthier option. And then coconut oil is another good quality fat and oil, and that's those good quality fats is something that you also want to incorporate, especially if you're going to do this sugar fast, because that is really good healthy substance for your body during this time when you're taking some other things out. Like you would also, I'm kind of jumping around here, I feel like, let me finish here and then I'll do a couple other things. This is coconut butter. This is probably something that most of you have never seen or used before. But the little fat bombs I talked about, you can use coconut butter in them, or you can use peanut butter or almond butter. Here's some almond butter, peanut butter. You just want to make sure that your almond butter or peanut butter just doesn't have sugar in it. So just always read the label, check the label, because I know Kroger has just their Kroger brand is good. They have like no sugar added, but a lot of them, even if they say organic or whatever, they'll have some kind of like molasses or some kind of sugar in them. So you just want to read the label so you're using one that doesn't have sugar. Or like I said, this is coconut butter. And basically it's really hard, so you soften it just by putting it in a bowl of water to soften the coconut butter. And it just, if you like anything coconut, it's really good. It's just, it's spreadable then. And I just use this because I can't can't eat nuts right now, and so this is just an alternative of things that I can't eat. And this you might be able to find at, I think mostly it's online, so Amazon. If anyone's an Amazon purchaser, Amazon Prime, you can get this in 2 days, day maybe, I don't know. And this thing, these are really, I've used these a lot lately. So just like I said, something little, if you're looking for something a little bit different to try, change your taste buds a little, that's some options there. And then as far as the sugar fast too, like I said, you're abstaining from sugar. And then what we've listed in there would be like high sugar fruit. When we did the original, like the sugar fast earlier this year, some of the guidelines that they went off of too was no fruit at all. And so we would just, like you said, ask you to ask the Holy Spirit, like what that looks like for you, especially if you're a mom who would be nursing or you're a pregnant mom, then you would definitely want to incorporate some little extra things like and I think we mentioned that maybe in the book there too. Like berries would be like a low sugar fruit. So berries, they had also suggested like even like a sprouted grain, like sprouted brown rice. Sprouted brown rice, which would be, it has more of the nutrients and it's easier for your body to digest. But that would be something, or if you do have more specific health concerns where you would need to add a little bit of carbohydrates to keep your body functioning well. Like we don't want to just like harm our body in this process. We want to make sure we're really taking care of our body in it. So that's where I feel like you need to, and if you need to talk to a doctor about the details of what that looks like too, that's a really good idea too. Because it's helpful to be making wise choices in this. And the Holy Spirit would not ask you to do something that would be harmful for your body. So I don't know. I feel like that covers my side of it. I feel like I'm kind of jumping around, but
okay.
If you have anything you want to add there on that end, I feel like my demonstration is complete.
If you think of anything else, you can jump in. We'll give you a chance at the
that sounds
end,
good.
So.
Yeah.
I did a lot of the things she said. We're presenting this to, like, cast out some of this fear, right? Bring it to light. Let's start talking about it. There's no reason we can't just talk about it, right? And so be wise, like she said. Talk to a doctor if you need to. If you have health concerns, be wise, but don't fear, right? Wisdom and love. Let's move forward in love in this, because that's why we're moving forward in it, to encounter more of, like, our Father who is love. So seek first the kingdom, right? It's going to look different for each person possibly, So let's not make this legalistic. This is about experiencing the Lord in a deeper way. It's not about the rules, because trust me, I've done it about the rules before, and then get 2 weeks in and I go, oh my goodness, I barely thought about the Lord in this. I've just been so consumed with what to eat next. It's like, okay, this is a fast. I'm thinking more about food than I usually am. So, that's why we're having this time of preparation. It's a good thing. So I'm going to show some Daniel fast options. This is kind of my arena. And again, Casey listed out the things for the sugar fast and the Daniel fast. I'll let you know what those are. And right in front of the trifold, there is a little sheet that also lists the guidelines, the things to abstain from for each category. The Daniel fast, it's from Daniel. You can read about what Daniel chose to do when he fasted. There's several times he fasted, and they recorded in the book. But what traditionally has been taken to be the Daniel fast is you abstain from meat, which includes poultry and fish, and you abstain from eggs and dairy, as well as leavened breads, as well as you only drink fruit and vegetable juices, and any sweets, anything added sugars. And again, ask the Lord, right? Some people might drink tea or coffee still, but ask the Lord. I know for myself personally, I've done a few fasts, and I'll tell you, we did the sugar fast this summer, and I did it, and it was hard, right? I'm going to tell you, it was hard, but when you've been on a journey with different things, certain things just get more normal. I've taken more things out just for my own personal reasons. We did the Wellness Revelation Bible study this fall, and I only gave up coffee, and that was harder than the sugar fast for me. So know yourself, right? Know yourself. Ask the Lord, what's mastering you? That's what this is about. This isn't about looking like everybody else or following some plan. So that said, I also am not going to be running the food processor this morning. I was going to show you exactly how to do this. I already made up the hummus that I'm going to be talking about here, and it's already dished up. That way we don't have to sit here for 8 minutes listening to this, which that seems really silly. So, so hummus is it's a great protein snack, and you can put it on. You can eat it just with like tortilla chips, would be unleavened, right? Veggies. Or I like to spread it on. There's also a recipe in there for making a wrap. You can just spread it on a wrap and throw some lettuce and quinoa or something in there, and it's wonderful. So it's a good versatile thing to have around, real simple for the Daniel fast. It's just great to have in the fridge on hand for a quick snack. So, am I talking too fast?
No.
Okay, thank you. I can do that. So you can use canned chickpeas. They're also called garbanzo beans, the same thing. You can find them Aldi anywhere. Or you can use dried ones. I like to use my pressure cooker and do that sometimes, however. So you're gonna want 1 can, which is about 2 cups, or 2 cups of cooked chickpeas. And you reserve half, if you're doing a can, you're gonna drain the liquid off into a measuring cup. After you open it, just keep the lid, drain it right off in here. Dump the chickpeas in the food processor, and then keep that to the side. You're gonna use about half that liquid to put back in. And then it's real simple, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of tahini. So I am a discount shopper. I use bottled lemon juice usually, right? And so that's preference. You can use fresh lemon, no problem. Tahini is simply ground sesame seeds.
What is that?
Yeah, if you don't have it, that's okay. It does give that nutty flavor to tahini that you're used to tasting. If you don't have it, and you can leave it out and add in maybe another extra seasoning, a little extra cumin if you want. But it's really not that, it's not that pricey really for what it is. But if you think that you might use it, this I got at Kroger. This was the only kind they have right now in Greenville that I could find. But for things like this tahini, that's a little harder to find, as well as some of those items. I was just thinking yesterday, you know what, this is a good time of the year. It's getting cold. There's not very many things you can do outside. We're coming up on this fast, and your guys have time to prepare and think about it. Some of these obscure items, take a little road trip to Jungle Jim's or Trader Joe's,
Yeah, Whole
Experience
Foods,
something new,
yeah.
Whole Foods, experience something new. You can walk around out of the weather, and it's just neat.
Yeah.
And there's so many different options. Pick up some unique produce. All sorts of cool stuff. So that's just a little tip. So those are the wet ingredients. And then you're also I just like to use, I don't even think that ground pepper is on the recipe in the meal guide, but I personally like it. I just sprinkle a little into taste. And then the cumin, I think it's about a quarter teaspoon of cumin you put in, and then about a teaspoon of salt for that amount. And then you and the garlic.
Sorry, I stole it.
Okay. It calls for 2 cloves of garlic per can or 2 cups of chickpeas. I like it garlicky, so I usually add 3 or 4. But I usually use garlic powder for things like marinades, but I'll use whole garlic like this because you can just throw them in whole. You don't have to dice them up. So I have tried to use fresh garlic for things like marinades, and I found I just won't do it because I'm going to have to mince it up, and I just don't have the time. So there again. Think through your life as you're approaching this and deciding which fast to choose and how to go about this. Also, think about what does your month of January look like? Be realistic, right? Ask the Lord, be realistic. Because, like Casey said, it's not about succeeding or failing, but also the Lord doesn't set us up for failure. He sets us up for success. So do the same thing. Ask the Lord, how are you going to set me up for success with you in this fast to encounter you this January? And then you simply hold blend on high. I like to do it for about 8 minutes. I'll check it, and then maybe I'll even taste it and see if, I want to add a little more olive oil or something. So you can tweak it for your taste, but it's that simple. And you just keep it in the fridge and enjoy it. And so so you'll have some samples over there with some celery and carrots to try today. As well, as Casey was telling me she was doing the marinade for the chicken, I love that she said you can also use it for roasted vegetables. And so I thought it'd be cool to show that it is it is Daniel fast compliant if on roasted vegetables. The marinade itself would be, there's no animal products in it. So roasted vegetables would be awesome on the Daniel fast. And you can't have the meat, but veggie burgers you can. So I made up some samples of the veggie burgers that are in the meal plan. And mustard. I tried to find the Vegenaise. I could not find it anywhere. I didn't check soon enough. That's something you probably want to order if you're interested. If you're just like a mayonnaise and like you just want to check it out and try it, it's pretty good. But I mean, for me, I usually just forego those kinds of condiments during this time. But mustard would be Daniel fast compliant. Potentially sugar fast too. You have to look at the label. There's no sugar.
Yeah.
There's vinegar. It depends on how you
I know, and I didn't go into a lot of detail. I guess there's kind of a lot of specifics. Does it say it over there, like
Most
the
of it
sugar
you can
fast?
check.
Okay, so maybe read the list of stuff, and then if you have any more questions on like the guidelines of the sugar fast, I just feel I hate saying like this is how we do, this is how it needs to be done, because like I really want to leave, we really want to leave room for the Holy Spirit to lead you specifically. So I mean, there's guidelines of ways that would, laid out, and then you seek the Lord on those. So I think that's why it's hard for me to just say, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
But maybe some people actually need that. Like they need a good guide of what to do if you've never really done it. So
Yeah.
use that as to your discretion.
Totally. And so, yes, again, read the labels, but no, this is something to seek you to greater freedom in the Lord. It's not something to seek you and to put you into more bondage. So read the labels, but seek the Lord and just, walk it out with Him. And so those black bean burgers, the way that they're seasoned in the recipe, they're pretty neutral. It's some seasoning just enough, so it's not just really bland. So you can either add more seasonings to the burgers themselves, or they're a good canvas, I would call it, for lots of different things. You could either put it, like it's no leaven, if you're choosing to do the no leavening, you're not gonna make a sandwich out of it probably, but you could cut it and put it in a wrap, or just make a little bit of rice or quinoa to go with it for your meal, along with the roasted vegetables, or put it over a salad. But you can use all sorts of dips and things to go with it that would be compliant. So I mixed up some barbecue. It's pretty neutral, also it's not real spicy, and if you want to try it, there's no sugar added, so it's not gonna taste super sweet. It's gonna be different, and that's the thing too about this. Like Casey was saying, you're gonna be trying some things that you're not used to. They're not gonna be perfect replacements, because that's not what we're seeking anyway, right? And so we're just replacing it, then what's the point? So there are going to be some things that will seem like replacements, but for the most part, things aren't going to be as sweet, right? If there's no sugar in them. So you are welcome. That barbecue is it's not real spicy. For me, I like to add a little more spice for it, but I wanted to keep it kind of neutral for taste today. I like to add chipotle peppers to it. Are awesome. There is a brand of chipotle peppers. If you've ever used them, they're a little can in the Mexican section. At Walmart, I have found one that doesn't have added sugar. And it just adds a nice smoky, kind of spicy flavor. I love that. And then also I have over there, one more thing. Casey talked about, she has the fat bombs over there. There's also another little treat over there. So Kroger, I found these, and I'm sure other stores have them too. This is called a date bar. So dates are a fruit that they're very sweet. And so these have no sugar. They're simply 3 ingredients, if I can find the flat. Dates, peanuts, and sea salt in these. So, you can get something like this if you wanted to have a quick snack. So what I would say in this, for myself personally, the way I handle something like this is, you know what, sometimes I come home and with the kids after school, we have something crazy, and now it's time to cook supper, and I am hitting a low. And so I want to really seek the Lord and stay sober and alert. So I'm not running to this, and there have been times when it's sweet, right? I could, let this master me again, or I could just fill in a void with this. But what I love about this, it's Daniel Fast compliant, but I like to use it for that, like I need something quick, because so I can make sure that we're actually going to stay on board, because I'm going to be likely to just throw it all away and not do it at all. Yeah, it's a nice little thing, and also nice to just take with you if you seek the Lord, right? But so I actually have some date balls over there that are homemade. So the reason I like those are, number one, they are cheaper. Number two, I can add cocoa to those. If you go to the store and find a bar like this with chocolate in it, pretty much every single one is going to be sweetened chocolate. And so you cannot find a chocolatey one. And also, yes?
I was just thinking maybe speak to why we don't want to run to those things.
Okay. Yep, I will. Okay, yeah, I will touch on that just after this. Okay, yeah, so I will speak to that. And so and those the date balls that I made also aren't quite as sweet because they have oats in them and the cocoa and some flax. So you get some fiber in there. It's not just straight like dates and peanuts. So and it has the peanut butter, so it gives you some more protein. So these are nice because you can take them to go. The peanut butter balls that I make, you kind of have to keep them in the freezer. They're not very transportable. So yes, the reason we don't want to run to those is because the reason we're fasting is to deny our flesh. And so we just want to be really conscious of that. These, I use them as a quick thing, kind of like the fat bombs. They can be the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm going to keep me going. I'm going to be honest with the Lord and say, I am still a physical being. And there may be some times when I have some needs physically and I'm not going to run to the sugar, but this is something that's a substitute that, I can keep me going. But ask the Lord, is this something that I'm going to keep me going, moving forward with the Lord? Or is it something that I'm taking a left turn? Because what's in front of me is just too hard. And so instead of moving forward with the Lord, I'm just going to walk over here to the side and, start feeding my flesh.
Or like denying your emotion. I mean, like not identifying, processing through like what is a barrier of your emotions that you're too afraid to process through with the Lord. I mean, would be a struggle for me a lot. So
yeah, is it an avoidance strategy?
Yeah.
Or is it this is
like
going to help me
physically
to move
need something right now, and I need something quickly, or
yeah. So, okay, and so I'm just going to kind of to finish up. I'm just going to kind of piggyback what Casey said earlier. Just to be creative, be bold, be adventurous. Try something new. You might just like it. Or maybe you won't, and that's okay too. So this isn't going to be easy. It's not supposed to be convenient. It's not about our taste buds, but we want to set you guys up for success too. So